music, setting up life, setting up the music. Oh, gosh. Computer won't load. Hello, hello. Hello, vodka. Hello, world. Hello, music. Hello, typewriter. It's like that old book. I think it was like
Good Night Moon was the name of the book that my mother used to read me when I was a baby. And it would go, Good Night Moon, or Good Night Fireplace, Good Night Mother, or something like that. Anyway, hello everyone, hello world. It is another morning, it is another poetry studio. Today's plan is haikus. I have to work on some more. I have been asked to do more wedding themed haikus, which was a project I was working on over the Christmas break, but I have been asked to kind of reprise that project to do more. But also, it might be a good opportunity if you guys want to request some random topical haikus. They're very easy, 575 syllables for me. Get to have fun with short poems. I always think that short poetry is vastly underrated in the current world. So let us get started with some poetry. Now, the way that the haikus work is that they're always on these little index cards. Makes it real easy for me to create them. Hope you are doing well, Vodka. Let me know if there's anything you would like me to muse on today in terms of the poetic arts. Now, what I've decided is I'm going to come up with 6 new unique haikus. I was doing wedding haikus before. I came up with 15 different versions. I'm going to try to come up with 6 more, just to celebrate romance and love. And maybe these will be a little more ethereal on the love. The other ones were a little more specific towards weddings. These might be me more general, because events in general are kind of the topic that, these are going to be given towards a business that can give out to their customers. Just Ed Vodka says, great, thanks. Packing my suitcase for my holiday. Definitely good to get away. I sure appreciated when I was able to get away from my holiday. But getting back into the swing of things was kind of rough. I mean, it's January 21st, and I feel like that I've only just kind of gotten back into the routine that I wanted, but it's even better now. So it's interesting how holidays are good, but they can also interrupt things. Interruption's good. Sometimes can distract, but other times can cause insight. Trying to think of a word that is like celebration, but 2 syllables. But not party. Something a little more elegant than party. There we go. I like that one. Haiku number 179. Love is in the air. Breeze suggests heaven so rests in sun-kissed romance. I think that was a good one. That's actually one of my favorite love haikus that I've ever written. Sun-kissed romance. Uh-oh. We do not need echoes. Shindig. That would have been the right word. But I went instead something even farther away from an event, which is romance. But I've decided I'm going to use the word shindig in my next one. Shindig is one of my favorite words. And yes, I can often forget my favorite words. It's a thing that I do. But shindig is a fantastic... It's just a wonderful word. It's fun. It's very odd. Doesn't like to... It's almost like it doesn't behave. You're digging. And good morning, LJ. Sorry about that. It's a hydration break. That's what I need. Everyone knows it's a good time. We're 8 syllables. So what I'm doing is the haiku, so it's 575. And I want to use, I might even just steal that line from you, LJ, if you'll let me, of course. We all have a good time. All of us having a good time. Ugh. All having a good time. Ooh, come on. Good morrow, good morrow. I'm trying to fit that everyone knows it's a good time line into the haiku. That would be the middle line, but that's 8 syllables, so I need to trim it to 7. All had a good time. Yeah, that's 5. Oh, but then we could use that as one of the 5 syllables. A past tense haiku. I like that. One of the songs that I loved when I was younger was "You Look Wonderful Tonight" by Eric Clapton. Back when I was way more starry-eyed about my my romantic desires, which I'm still a romantic, luckily in a wonderful, very secure marriage. And "You Look Wonderful Tonight," that those last lines, the closing lines about how they're leaving the party and kind of talking about the party, I always like that. There we go. Your haiku, LJ. All had a good time. Mystic mirth and sweetest wine. A shindig so fine. Rhyming is not usually necessary in haikus, but I like it because it does add so much flavor to the poetry. Yeah, I'm sorry if it was coming off as confusing, but the haiku structure is just 5 syllables for the first and last line and 7 syllables for the center line. Now, the secret here is that these are not actually haikus. Haikus are always about nature. This one, love is in the air, Bree suggests Heaven, So Rest, and Sun-Kissed Romance. This one is more haiku-ish because it's it has a turn in it. So that the haikus, little quick lesson on haikus, and so that you feel entertained while I talk about them. We'll show off my dog. Haikus have two aspects to them. Traditional haikus, Japanese poetry of that nature. It's a 5-7-5 syllable poem. 5 lines first, last, and 7 lines center. It's always about nature. See, that's the key. And then there's a turn in the center of it. So nature's kind of doing something is the way that I've described it. Now, I'm no expert on haikus, so I might be bastardizing the description of it. But haikus are fun. They really are. But what I'm technically writing is called senru. Yes, this is Max the dog, who is very sleepy, it seems. He gets like this whenever mommy leaves the house. So senru is basically haiku-styled witticisms about people. And that is way more what I am doing than and good morning, Fool Killer. Good to see you. Better late than never, of course. But it's wonderful to always have you coming in here. And feel free to tell us about the poem for the morning this morning. But like when I say senru to people don't know what I'm talking about. Nobody knows what I'm talking about when I say senru. So I always say I'm doing haiku, but it's technically not haiku. I've never figured out how to solve that. So I just keep saying that I'm doing haiku and then talk about how it's senru. Such as the words about the shindig. Oh, we already have a haiku in here. Oh, now that we're back, I gotta... Hi, Senru. Hi, Senru. I like that. Yeah, the Senru were invented after the haiku. Somebody obviously got bored of writing about trees and forests and mountains and waters and rivers and decided that they wanted to write more about people. And that was how it all began. And then occasionally I could do something like this. Little poet's hack. Green fields grow in hearts. Candlelight among farm eaves. Harvesting memory. Instead of saying memory, which would break the 5 syllables, it's memory. Shorten it with a little apostrophe. I don't like doing that a lot. LJ Gibbons says I homeschooled. That you homeschool. So you homeschool your kids. I actually have, like, on my list of ideas of what I could do, I really want to get into teaching poetry remotely more. I currently teach chess remotely, which has nothing to do with poetry, but I would love to be able to teach kids more about how to work poetry, how to get more creative with poems, how to just kind of rest in writing. I mean, they do that so much anyway. I mean, kids are really bright, creative little souls. But I have really wanted to get more into teaching what I'm doing here, kind of getting the easy to accessibility of just creating on the spot, creating spontaneously, enjoying it for one's own sake. Oh, that's so cool that you play chess as well. Yeah, a friend of mine started a chess teaching group right before COVID, and then COVID happened and everything shut down, and so they decided to try going virtual, and now instead of having to stick to the students in their own region, they have students all across the world. And so he kind of stumbled into some business success with that. By business success, they really working it as a nonprofit. Well, thank you, LJ. I appreciate it. I mean, I'm trying to think of how I describe how I come up with what I come up with. And the funny thing about the haiku and senru is that they're very snapshot. Like, it's very quick little takes. I try not to get overly complicated with it. Like, and I think that length is important. I mean, obviously there's those rare instances where you can do a lot in a line. For sale, baby shoes never worn, is an example of a 6-line story that I heard once. You're talking about the last poem, 181, green fields growing, hearts, candlelight among farm eaves. Yeah, that one I just made that up. These are all being created on the spot. So the reason why it's green fields and farm eaves, which it should have been barn eaves, but I made a mistake, but that's fine, I'll take it, is because the place that I'm writing these haiku and senru for is a working farm that hosts weddings and events. And so when brides come and they want to know about partner vendors, my senru are going to be dropped into a gift basket. And so they're going to be going through this gift basket, looking at all these goodies from vendors, and they're going to go, oh, look at this. There's a hand-typed haiku from a poet, and I could host a poet for a wedding, and hence I'm able to still support myself doing this. It's kind of it's like creating one of a kind, like flyers, for lack of better words. It's advertising, very elegant advertising. And so what I do is each haiku or senru that I write is uniquely numbered. So we have 181 right there. But then what I will do is I will serialize and I'll do a run of those senru. These are senru entered. I want senru not entered. So I'll show you here. That I have, this is 171 F and G. So, and that's kind of how I end up serializing my senru. And then LJ asks, explain where it was from, like what inspired it and what is it saying exactly. So a more deeper read of the poem. Growth and farms, forests and gardens will also kind of fall in this category. will, are about something increasing. You start off, like, say that you start off with, like, your bulbs. You plant your bulbs in spring, and you just put a little, like, fist in the ground, and that's it. But then that becomes full of color. It grows up in size. So the fact that this place is a farm and it grows things and not necessarily, has cattle as well. It produces. And then that is paired along with all these little aspects that an event would have. Candlelight, the farm eaves, which is the barn that they use. And ultimately what that means is that we're harvesting memory. That these concrete, the growing is a metaphor for the growing of joy over time. If I had to describe it, that's how I would kind of start. And there's other things as well that kind of go there. The words hearts and memory are easy anchor words to the infinite. It's actually kind of a bad habit of mine that I often just write about hearts, and then everybody goes, "Oh wow, it's so profound." And it is profound, but it's more of a poetic challenge to try to stick to the concrete and make it feel profound. But this one, I wanted to kind of go straight to that. Candlelight is always very mysterious. It could be the candlelight of a celebration, candles on a table where people are dancing, swinging around. It could also be the candlelight of two. It could even be the candlelight of one. And then green is, as a color, represents a lot of things to people. And what it is for a poet, one thing that I do a lot of, and I don't mean to brag, but it's one of those things that I can kind of see the cartography of a word. So I look at fields. I think of distance. I think of sunsets going over long vistas. I think of the work, the toil. And so those are all like little nodes. Like you could like take the word fields and you could draw like little spokes around it. And then you can connect those to other things, like the work of hearts. So layers on layers that can develop from those that I can kind of see from when I'm writing it. And then I just build those out and connect them. And that's kind of the way that I do most of my poetry in general is people will give me a word, people will give me a phrase, an idea, and I'll just kind of build out from that. Limelight Yo says, "Hello, sir." Hello, indeed. I don't know if that was a good way to greet with the cap, but yeah, I'm working on haikus and senru for, I'm going to create 6 original haiku and senru in our session today. And then over the next few days, I'm going to be typing out the serials of those 6 haiku, 5 each. But that's the cool thing about with the numbers that I was saying before is technically every haiku I've ever typed is individually numbered. And so, God forbid, I walked out my door this morning and a piano fell on my head. There's 181 unique haiku and senru out there, collect them all. I kind of like doing that. It's a good archival thing, too. And if you have a request for a haiku, the haiku is a redeemable. It's a redeemable commission under my rewards. I have a whole ton of rewards that I put into the channel with the channel points and everything like that. So feel free to take a look if you happen to be watching. LJ Gibbons says he feels it's a very current poem. Green fields and growing hearts, candlelight among farm eaves, harvesting memory. Yeah, and memory is a, and for example, if green fields grow in hearts, the whole poem could exist in your own self. The fact is you could be sitting in a high rise in the middle of, Chicago, and not saying that you're from Chicago, but like if you are, and you could look at this poem and you could close your eyes and you can grow the green fields, you can harvest the memories, all in the span of a moment. I find it interesting that you say it's current. I'd love to hear your interpretation of that. feel free to drop more in the chat. I mean, that's part of what the poetry is all about, is it leaves me and then people see different things in it than I saw. Even though I'm kind of crafting a thing and I kind of see something in it. All art's like that. It leaves the artist and it's taken in by people that receive that art. Yo, Disco is in the chat. We're doing haikus this morning, Disco. Good to see you. Yeah, it's been real fun this morning. Let me think of another haiku. Nova Scotia, Canada. Hard to type all how I felt. Well, that is possibly one of the highest compliments you could give my poetry. It means a lot that it made you really moved in that way. I seem to be having some sort of issues with the typewriter right now. Hold on a sec, what's going on? That's because we've run out of ink. Spin, 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 spin. In case you guys want to see the typewriter open, this is what it looks like. Typewriter open. This particular copy was full of typos. I'm going to write what I was writing. It just needs to be redone. Are you streaming today, Disco? Today is Thursday, so I don't believe you stream if I have your schedule correct. But yesterday was a lot of fun when we all jumped in there. It was good to see you again. As always. Anybody that is tuning in, Steve Disco Newsom is a DJ extraordinaire. Definitely, highly, always recommend you check out his Disco Groove and Groovy community. Everybody over there is wonderfully kind and awesome. Oh, I have unintentionally typed in red. Let's fix that. And this haiku doesn't want to happen. And he will be streaming again tomorrow. I'm trying to think of a better word. This is what I had. And I'm trying to think of a better word than sweet. I had swoon, but swoon is not good. It needs to be an S word, one syllable, that describes the attire and demeanor of a to-be-married couple. A lot of these haikus are wedding haikus. Sharp and smooth and silk and sweet. I mean, sweet could work, but it's a filler. I know it's a filler. I haven't consulted my Thesaurus Rex in a while. You know, that should actually be a redeemable thing, that you ban the Thesaurus Rex. And I think I'm going to call it the Thesaurus Rex. I mean, every time I hear the word thesaurus, and I think I'm pronouncing it correctly, unless it's a thesaurus, but I always think of Thesaurus Rex. I always think of a dinosaur. White gown and sleek suit, sharp and smooth and silk and sweet. I want... But I want it to start with the letter S. And I want it to describe... This is something that a thesaurus might not be able to... solve. See, Disco says the same thing I do. Yeah, exactly. It's because... Yeah, it's a Thesaurus Rex. Which, frankly, maybe I could, like, trademark that and create my own thesaurus, like a poet's thesaurus. Because poetry requires a more... So, like, for example, when I go look up the word sweet. And the word sweet's a good word. Slick. LJ Gibbons says slick. It is good. It'll harken back to sleep. Let me read it. Let me think about it. And I might reorder everything. White gown and sleek suit. I might replace the word sleek. You know what I might do is you've kind of triggered an insight. I might take the word out of next to suit. So here's the new one that I'm going to think of. Here. Yeah, so I might create like a special poet's thesaurus because, like, I wanted the word sweet, but I wanted a word like sweet that was one syllable that started with the letter S. And so it would kind of be like a requirements, like it would be like, you know, you would create filters, and then it would shoot back the word that you want. It's like, oh, that's cool. All right. Third time's the charm. Poet's thesaurus. I mean, I'm sure something like that already exists, and if it doesn't, it's my idea. Don't steal it. All right, perfect. That line's perfect now. So the line goes white gown and dark suit, sticking with the coloring, smooth and sharp and silk and sweet, going back and forth between the two of them. Now I need to close it. I need to close. Well, what's funny, LJ, is if this I've been thinking of I want to think of like a really cool, unique new idea, like maybe a good website or something. I'm a big believer in doing passive income, building businesses that can help generate money while you sleep. You know, the whole Naval Ravikant thing, and poetry is not like that, because in order to do poetry, I have to do poetry, and I'm glad to have that be my artistic endeavor, but I like the idea of ideas that if I actually were to jump on them and create them, they create, you know, it's a something that I can kind of push and then it just goes. White gown and dark suit, smooth and sharp and silk and sweet. And it could be like user generated. Like people could be the ones that actually put the connections in. Like I just create the website and it's like, well, like a word like sweet, but it this and this. Kind of mapping out those nodes I was talking about before. Never to repeat. That might be too pretentious. Fabric of love's meat. It's good. It's a good line. Might stick with it. Now I'm going with fabric metaphors. Fabric, stitches. Stitches is not a good word. I don't like it. Sometimes the funny thing about poetry and words is that you feel out a word. Like I thought of the word stitches as a word that is a fabric metaphor that is very related to tying two things together, of course. And it'd be great here, except the word stitches sounds like crap. It just sounds bad. Stitch. Sounds like I'm in a hospital room. Because that's the other place where people think of stitches. So I was thinking of fabric of love's meat. Fabric of love's meat. And then that would be 5 syllables. I think I'm going to work with it. I think I'm going with it. Fabric of love's meat. White gown and dark suit. Smooth and sharp and silk and sweet. Fabric of love's meat. Two more, and I'm gonna just get them done real quick here because I need to go. I have a very busy morning, and hopefully I have an email back. No, this is not the email. You're not the morning you're gonna check your emails. Oh, goodness. All right, I need email back from somebody. Don't you hate it when you gotta get an email back from somebody and then they don't get you an email back? Fabric woven is good, except for the amount of syllables. It's a lot of real estate if you're working with 5 syllables, but that actually would have really helped. But I think that fabric of love's meat, I'm going to put it under good enough. I'm not going to say it's bad. I'm not going to say it's average. I'm happy with it. That's what the most important thing is. The time lapse is messing up. Yeah, it's I have it running on my computer, as a way to kind of tell how it's going, and I can tell that it's at least a 10-second delay, at least. Reception of joy. Conversation celebrates. family union. That's for the literalists. And I just got an idea to do one that is very much my style. Oh, I'm going to do it. Read between the lines of interest and a true story gets told. Indeed. I like this haiku, but I don't know if I'm going to use it in my collection here.
Sorry, I didn't understand, but I found some...
Hey Google, shut up. My Google Home started talking to me.
Sorry, I didn't understand.
L.J. Gibbons also says we mustn't strive to have our presence noted. Rather have your absence felt. Getting deep in the chat. I like it. Glint of lifted glass, a toast to Venus herself. Beauty of the day. All right, this is starting to get a little ridiculous. My typewriter has been... I had this issue on another typewriter of the same vintage, which I thought it was just that typewriter individually, when the letters kind of do this descending motion here. I don't care about putting that through. It adds a little bit of a flair to it. Beauty of the day. This one is good, but I want to type... Well, is that only 5? No, that's 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 6, but I want to type another one because I don't know if I'm going to use that Venus one for this collection. Old country family farm. If I start talking about the Greek gods and goddesses, I think I'm just getting a little too out of my depth there on that. I mean, I like the idea of talking about the Greek gods and goddesses, but they might not appreciate it. I have never read Henry Vaughan, says LJ. LJ Gibbons asked me if I read Henry Vaughan, and I have not read Henry Vaughan. Haiku number 185, the last for our day today. And I do so true, rolls through meadows verdantly, vista of virtue. A good wedding haiku. And kind of, again, harkening back to that sight, that distance into the future that happens when you kind of look out at a horizon. I will definitely take the recommendation on Henry Vaughan, but I want to thank everybody for being here today. We had a real crowd. Appreciate everybody that's tuning in. Shout out to those in the chat. We had Ad Vodka pop in. Disco Newsome has been tuning in. Limelight Yo as well. Bliss Factory has requested AIM for us to close out on. I think that that would be a good song for us to generally close out on. So let me go. Very good. I appreciate that you're using the reward. So let me go ahead and get that queued up. Thank you again. Did we lose our camera? Oh, goodness gracious. We lost our camera. That's perfectly okay, because at this point, we are closing out the stream. Thank you again very much for everybody for being so awesome here. Really appreciate it. And to close us out as we end this stream, I'll be back again 7 a.m. tomorrow morning. And as always, you can request poems. You can request different songs. You can shout out. You can do all those things. And to close us out here, we have AIM by Akira the Dawn. I can't find it. Give me a minute. I will find it. There's a lot of... Actually, you know what? If I just search here. Thank you so much, Bliss Factory, for your kind words. And yes, see you soon. And here we go. I'll be able to leave you on the doggo cam.
Therefore, take no thought for the morrow, for the morrow shall take thought for the things of itself. Sufficient unto the day is the evil thereof.
I spent a long time trying to figure out what that meant too, because it's another one of those lines that can easily be read as pro-grasshopper and anti-ant. Remember the old fable of the grasshopper and the ant? Maybe not. I'm not going to tell it. But the ant works and the grasshopper fiddles. The ant has a pretty good time in the winter and the grasshopper dies. And so this is like a pro-grasshopper line, but it's not. It says something else. It says that if you orient yourself properly and then pay attention to what you do every day, that works. That works. That works. That works. And you can live in the day. You're a creature that has an aim. You have to have an aim. That makes every moment supercharged with meaning. Live in the day. You're a creature that has an aim. You have to have an aim. That makes every moment supercharged with meaning. The world shifts itself around your aim. You're a creature that has an aim. You have to have an aim in order to do something. You're an aiming creature. You look at a point and you move towards it. It's built right into you. And so you have an aim. Well, let's say your aim is the highest possible aim. That sets up the world around you. It organizes all of your perception, what you see and you don't see, your emotions and your motivation. So you organize yourself around that aim, and then what happens? The day manifests itself as a set of challenges and problems, and if you solve them properly, you stay on the pathway towards that aim, and you can concentrate on the day. And so that way, you get to have your cake and eat it too. Because you can point into the distance, the far distance. Point into the distance, the far distance. And you can live in the day. You're a creature that has an aim. You have to have an aim. That makes every moment supercharged with meaning. Live in the day. You're a creature that has an aim. You have to have an aim. That makes every moment supercharged. break loose, that chaos is coming. It's like when that's happening in your life, you might want to be doing something that you regard as truly worthwhile. Because that's what will keep you afloat when everything is flooded. And you don't want to wait until the flood comes to start doing that. Because if your ark's half built and you don't know how to captain it, the probability is very high that you'll drown